In the last class, we have covered standalone risk, return, and coefficient of variation. We also learned to calculate how to calculate portfolio beta and expected portfolio return. In this class, we will learn about required rate of return in different situations. So we have already covered these slides in the last class, and we did A-1, A-6, and A-2 and A-7. Today we will try to solve rest of the problems. Here is the formula of required rate of return. This is the formula that is related if we have one stock, and if required rate of return is required. The second one is if the required rate of return is required for overall market, and the third one is in the case of portfolio. So we have these three different formula to calculate required rate of return. In this class, we will cover A-3, 4, 5, 8, as well as we have 8-9, 10, and 11. Okay. So I'm going to share you the Excel sheet as well. Okay, class. So we are going to start A-3 first. Assume that the risk-free rate is 6% and the required return on the market is 13%. What is the required rate of return on a stock with a beta of 0.7? So we have risk-free rate of return 6% and required return on market, that is market return, is 16%, and the beta is 8%. And what is required? Required rate of return. The important thing is that what is the required rate of return on a stock? We are talking about a particular stock, any one stock. Okay, so we have already learned that we have three different formulas. So we will take this one, the first one, required rate of return for one stock. So the given data includes risk-free rate of return is 6%, market risk is 13%, and beta is also given, which is 0.7, and required rate of return, we are going to calculate this one. And this problem is related for one stock. So we take formula number 1, that is R is equal to risk-free rate of return is 6% plus market risk is 13% and multiply by beta. So beta is 0.7. So the return would be 15.1%. Okay, so this is the answer. A-3. Next problem is A-4. Assume that the risk-free rate is 5% and the market risk premium is 6%. What is the required return for the overall stock market? So the first return is required for overall stock market, and in the next part, what is the required rate of return on a stock with a beta of 1.2? Okay, so required rate of return for overall market, this is the first requirement. The second requirement is required rate of return on a stock, that is for on an individual stock. So A dash 4. Okay, risk-free rate of return is given. Market return is 6%, risk-free is 5%, beta is 1.2. We have two requirement. So first requirement is about overall market return. So here's the formula for overall market return. We have risk-free return is 5%. Risk-free return is 5% plus market risk, which is 6%. So the required return is 11%. Okay. In the next requirement, required rate of return for one stock. Okay. So this is the formula for one stock. And risk-free rate of return is 5% plus, where is the plus? Market return. Market return is premium. Return premium is 6% multiplied by beta. So beta is 1.2. So 12.2% is the required return on a stock. 12.2%. Next is 8-5. 8-5. A stock has a required return of 11%. The risk-free return is 7% and the market risk premium is 4%. What is the stock beta? So stock beta is required in requirement number A. So this time required rate of return is given, which is 11%. Risk-free rate of return is 7%. Risk premium is 4%. And the beta is required. So we are going to calculate beta on a stock. So this is for one stock. So we take this formula for requirement A. The risk-free rate of return, required rate of return is given 11%. And on the other side of the equation, we have risk-free rate of return, which is 7%, and plus market risk premium. Market risk premium is 4% and multiply by beta. Multiply by beta. Okay. By simple mathematical calculation, we can solve it easily. Here 11% minus 7% is equal to 4% into beta. In the next step, we have 4% and divide by 4% is equal to beta, and 4% divided by 4% is equal to 1. So beta is 1. This is the answer. We have another part for this problem. In the part B, if the market risk premium increased by 6%, what would happen to the stock required rate of return? So stock's required rate of return, we are going to calculate it and assume that risk-free rate of return and risk-free return and beta remains unchanged. So risk-free rate and beta remain unchanged. That is related to previous data. Only the market risk premium is increased to 6%. So the new required rate of return is a requirement. So in the part B, R is required. R is equal to, we have risk-free rate of return. This remains unchanged. This means that it is 7% plus market risk premium is changed from 4% to 6%, and beta remains same as in the previous requirement, that is 1. So what would be our 13% is your required rate of return if market risk premium increased by 2%, or you can say increase to 6%. So this is the return, so this should be in percentage. Okay class, so that's it for 8-5. The next problem is 8-8. So the next problem is 8-8. We have already calculated problem regarding 8-6 and 8-7. We have done it in the last class. So 8-8 is our next target. Giving the following information, determine the beta coefficient. So beta is required for stock J that is consistent with equilibrium. Return is 12.5%, risk-free rate is 4.5%, market risk premium is 10.5%. One thing should be noted that in this problem, we have stock J that is consistent with equilibrium. Okay, so it is the situation where you can say that the consistent with equilibrium simply means that the stock return can be predicted by capital asset pricing model. That is, the return is consistent with the beta which is derived from the past performance. Of course, return cannot be predicted this way, but this is the expected value based on the past result. So for solving this beta, for determining beta coefficient for stock J that is consistent with equilibrium, we will use the formula of portfolio or CAPM. So class, we have required rate of return, we have risk-free rate of return, we also have market risk premium, and we don't have beta. So we are going to calculate beta coefficient. The situation is the stock is consistent with equilibrium. So here we can solve it via CAPM model. That is portfolio. So R is 12.5%. is equal to risk-free is 4.5% plus market risk premium is 10.5% minus risk-free return is risk-free rate is 4.5%, and we are going to calculate beta. So by simple mathematics, we have 4.5%. Here we have is equal to, okay. No, 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 no. We have done. So class 12.5% minus 4.5%, we get 8%. On the other side, we have 10.55% minus 4.5% into beta. When we deduct 4.5% from 10.5%, we get 6% multiplied by beta. So for beta, we take 6% on the other side of the equation. That is 8% divided by 6% is equal to beta. So beta would be, no, there's no percent, there should not be percentage, it is general. Okay. So beta is 1.333. The next problem is A-9. A-9, this one. Okay, now this is interesting. Required rate of return. Stock R has a beta of 1.5. Stock S has a beta of 0.75. The required return on an average stock is 13%. This would be the market risk premium, and the risk-free rate of return is 7%. By how much does the required return on a riskier stock exceed the required return on the less risky stock? So the beta of R is 1.5 and beta of S is 0.7. So which one is more risky? Obviously stock R is more risky, so it should have more return also. So we are going to calculate the difference between the return of these two stocks. The difference between the return. So class, in this problem, we have two different stock. We have a stock R, we have a stock S, okay, and we have beta of stock R is 1.5, stock S is 0.75, and we also have market risk premium, which is 13%, and risk-free rate, which is 7%. So both are the independent individual stocks. So we take the formula of one stock, stock R. Risk-free rate of return is 7% plus market risk premium is 13%. percent multiply by beta. And what is the value of beta? 1.5. Okay. And for stock S, we have same data except the beta. The beta is different. So in the next step, we are going to calculate it by having the sign is equal to sign, and it should be in percentage. So should we have percentage? Okay. And the difference is basically the difference of both return is required, because they have asked that by how much the riskier stock return exceed from less risky stock. So we simply deduct stock R's return from stock S return, G10 minus G11. Okay, so the difference is 9.75. So 9.75 is the answer. So the last problem for today's class is A-10. Okay, Bradford Manufacturing Company has a beta of 1.45, whereas Farley Industry has a beta of 0.85. The required return on an index fund that holds the entire stock market is 12%. That is, this is market risk premium. The risk-free rate of interest is 5%. By how much does Bradford's required return exceed Farley's required return? So again, the difference of these two return is required. And this time we have portfolios. Okay, you can see the difference between these two problems. In A-9 we have stock R and stock S, whereas in A-10 we have Bradford Manufacturing Company, we have Farley's Industry. So it should have more than one stock. It should have some portfolio. Okay, so we are going to solve this problem through portfolio. So this is the formula of portfolio. Risk-free return is 5% plus market risk, which is 12%, minus again risk-free return, which is 5%, and multiply by beta, which is 1.45. And for Farley Industries, rest is same except the beta. Beta is 0.85. Okay, so Bradford's return is 15.5%, 15.15%, whereas Farley's return is 10.9%. And the difference of these two return is required. So simply we deduct Farley's return from Bradford return, which is H9 minus H11. So 4.2% is the difference. It is the answer. Okay, class. So that's it. This chapter is completed now. If you have any issues regarding this chapter, so you can come online for counseling daily, 8 to 10 a.m. Okay, class. So be prepared for quiz. There will be a quiz in this week. Okay, take care.